critical impact.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Valoris Afterdark. Starting a new arc here, so we're just going to call this one Session 1. When last we left our characters, a little bit of an epilogue. They were kind of running around the city, taking care of loose ends, as it were, after their final confrontation with the Order of the Eye. But after much merriment and running around, they have been summoned at the local circus yard, which is currently underway of being rebuilt. A letter arrives with the seal of the Tenyo. The circus master takes the letter and goes over to visit the characters. Now, Petrovich, while you are busy kind of reordering things, another letter is sent to the clerisy as well.
I was gonna say, there's no way Petrovich is hanging out at the
circus, right? Bringing faith to these commoners. No, good times. It is a very thick cardstock with the wax seal of the Tenyo.
Yeah, circus folk are good folk. What's your problem?
Well, they certainly seem to be. The circus master comes and hands the letter to the group of you. I imagine just sitting down for like a morning meal. Petrovich, much the same, hustle and bustle throughout the clerisy.
At the rate we're going, fewer and fewer of the group will be members of the original circus anymore.
Their characters will still live on, however.
About that.
What?
Well, let's become the new symbol for fire.
All right, you guys have received this letter. Who's the first one to open
worse
it?
Legacies.
Y'all can hear me, right?
No.
No? I worry about Discord sometimes. Who wants to be the first volunteer? Who pops open the letter? Obviously, Petrovich, you're on your own, unless you want one of your manservants to open it for you.
I'm too good to open my own letters. Peasants do it for me.
Yeah, the servant looks at you. I dare not open this. This is official.
I was fucking kidding anyways.
I can never tell with you. I'm sorry. As he runs out of the room.
Alright, Baldurin will volunteer as tribute then.
Okay. I'll just do it simultaneously. As you both pop open the thick wax seal, another piece of cardstock inside. Very fine penmanship. Black ink kind of soaks deep into this parchment. It reads, "Dearest heroes, your actions and deeds have not gone unnoticed. We believe a meeting is in order. Please, before the sun sets this day, come to the house of the Tenyo. We shall speak." And
Sitting
below,
here working on my character journal entry, even though I think I'm at full inspirations, just because a lot of juicy shit has happened since I last wrote one.
below, 3 signatures. The 3 acting heads of the Tenyo.
Well, apparently we're heroes now.
You don't need someone to tell you you're a hero, Volder. It's in your heart.
I can feel it in your jellies.
And your wallet.
Hero exclusive credit cards.
Who's
I'll be
your
here for you.
admirer,
How much
dwarf
pain?
man?
Well, it seems that the Tenyo wish to speak to us.
I'd imagine that gets a bit of a spit take, right?
This sort of thing doesn't typically happen. The Tenyo don't meet with commoners.
I don't know what we've done to become such big shots around here, but I guess we shouldn't pass this opportunity up.
All right. Did anybody have any pressing business of the day that they wanted to get out of the way, or can we skip ahead?
Well, last I was aware, one of the members of the Tenyu wanted us dead.
His signature is not upon that card stock. You see the 3 Dukars, Vanya, Pyotr, and Kazimir. The Maxim family.
What I am totally not like mouthing off about this in the middle of a crowded circus tent, but like we have reason to suspect those are kind of like half celestial being monsters, right?
Correct?
Mini baby emperors. The emplings.
Oh no.
I'm done with the session. Good night.
Oh no. All right.
Well, something doesn't tell me this is going to be a social call, but I guess we can't keep the lords and ladies waiting.
Well, if it does turn sour, we can always burn the manor.
Oh
And this is
no.
why Caspian likes the dwarf.
And then the player characters happened. All right, so we'll skip ahead. As you guys, are you dressing up for the occasion, or which?
Hard no.
Okay, hard no. Wearing plate mail. Gotcha.
Petrovich should probably be wearing his dress uniform.
Okay.
Vic will wear her fancy dress, but
Okay.
still keep her weapons and stuff on her.
Yep, no problem. So as the day goes on and you guys, some of you prepare, some of you don't, we're going to skip ahead to where you guys rendezvous with Petrovich outside the steps leading up to the Tenyo. You can see that the Tenyo guard have been on lookout. They kind of part ways and do the military kind of parade rest as you guys step up these kind of ivory steps into the building. Let me get a map. Because I has one. What did I name it? Mental note to DM. Make sure that you start putting these things in folders.
That would be helpful.
Dude, I have so many maps from these campaigns.
I bet. They add up fast.
Yeah. Way faster than I thought.
And so my other group, like our Roll20 will take like 3 or 4 minutes to load just because of all the maps our DM has.
Oh my gosh.
It's terrible. I fucking hate it.
Get there like an hour early just to load maps.
Basically.
Library. I thought I was smart and named it Tenyo, but apparently I am not. Here it is. All right, I'm going to share this. Don't worry about all these disappearing tokens.
Pay no attention to the disappearing tokens.
Inspires confidence.
Indeed. All right, so you guys are led into this grand hall, seated around this circular chamber. These odd sort of carved statuettes go from pretty much floor to ceiling, carved in and beside some of these decorative columns. It is a very dark chamber. There are a few sconces kind of lighting the room. As you guys enter in, the Merkaba kind of part way, of course. They don't dare strip you of your weapons, though they are armed themselves and watch you move in. The 3 Dukars rise from their seats. A few seconds later, the woman who is seated at the chamber will also rise, though noticeably fashionably late. They all give you a nod and kind of point to some of the chairs that are set around. However, there are only 6. Who would like to sit, if anyone?
Faley can sit in Caspian's lap.
Baldur will
I
sit.
had that thought.
So Volderin and Caspian both take a seat. Faley will sit upon Caspian's lap. Very good.
Petrovich will take a seat as well.
There are only 2 open seats. Would you like to rock, paper, scissors for it?
I was faster, so I get the seat. Fuck you.
Roll for seat.
Roll for initiative.
You gotta
He's a good
Trial by combat.
Voldurin has a handicap sticker, and Caspian's got child on board.
Awesome. Well, regardless, seats aren't super important here. As you guys all sit around, kind of an awkward silence fills the chamber. Minutes seem like hours as no one is really looking around or talking. And then Piotr, I'll make him big here, begins to speak. Thank you so much for joining us. I take the climb here was not arduous.
At my age, any climb is arduous.
I did not think it was so bad.
It is not often that we meet with those outside the council. I think I speak for most of us here when you have our thanks. It has not escaped my gaze on what has transpired amongst the city. Evil has been rooted out. Some have fled. Others put to rest. You have my thanks.
Caspian will kind of nod in his, bow slightly in his chair and, put his hand on Faley's head to make her do so.
All I can imagine is Faley is now like Baby Yoda,
Absolutely.
sipping on a bowl of soup.
Of
Vic
course.
is just standing, arms crossed, being as generally impolite as possible.
Fair enough. The last time outsiders were in the council chamber, some ill-gotten words were spoken. It is interesting, as he kind of curls his lip up, that yet another group would be invited into the fold.
Question.
Answer?
Can I make I don't know what kind of check you want it to be. You said he curled his lip. Does he have a fang?
That would be perception.
It's just a flat roll.
Fair enough. As you kind of gaze, you don't really notice anything abnormal about the size of his incisors. However, his teeth are sparkling white in a sea of, let's be honest, dental hygiene is not high amongst most people in this day and age. But his teeth are impeccable.
Vic will, kind of step forward a bit and say, "You raise an interesting point. You invited us into your chambers, but I'm sure you're well aware of our general opinion of the government here.
Piotr will kind of look at you. Surely you have no qualms with the Merkava. As he kind of glances over towards, presumably his brother, here, and then at the woman. I imagine you mean some other nefarious ilk in the city.
Are you referring to the Merkava who framed and then murdered my mother?
He looks at you, half down his nose, half kind of, I don't know, it's an odd look, like a kind of like a witty kind of, you caught him off guard perhaps, and he's curious as to where this goes. But all he says is, explain?
Well, a few years back, a nobleman was murdered, and the Merkava weren't able to establish any leads, but my mother is a changeling, and that made for an easy target. They simply established a case that she had impersonated a member of their staff and committed the murder. Arranged for some evidence, and that was enough to put her to the sword.
Your mother was a changeling. Are you too? Are you
I
as
suspect
well?
there's no sense in hiding it here. Yes, I am.
I will tell you this. It is not by my direction that such felonious charges be brought upon anyone. Had he still been alive. He kind of looks off, kind of in the distance for a second.
Oh, not that I want to discourage my dear friend Vic from speaking, but I mean, she's not wrong. We do have some reason to be concerned about the people sitting at this table and one who's notably not sitting at this table.
There are two not sitting at this table. Were you referring to both of them? Or was your intent to refer to both of them?
So, sorry, I might be totally wrong. I thought that of the two that are missing, one of them was shot dead, and
Correct.
one of them is the count.
Okay. I took missing in a different form. So, one of the other brothers will speak up here. The one who goes by Vanya. It is unfortunate he has escaped my grasp. But do know this, gentle circus man. I have agents spread throughout the kingdoms, tracking that traitorous scum down. Piotr will look back to the group and just kind of put his hands in like a pushing down sort of motion, like calm down. It is not our intent to bring you here as guests to have an argument. Though I feel it wise that your grievances be aired, do know there are some things even we do not have control over. Some mistakes have yet to be put right.
Baby Yoda in one hand, Caspian will kind of reach out his free one and like kind of motion for Vic to come stand by him.
Sigh and step over.
Yeah, back to the issue of your mother. If it pleases my lady, I will make sure a full investigation and a case reopened. fair account of her deeds and actions will be put to light. Perhaps a name cleared. Would this satisfy you?
Well, in as far as she cannot be brought back to life, that would be, I suppose, the next best thing.
If it has been as many years as you say, unfortunately, no. There are some powerful magics in the world. Perhaps there's still a chance. At this point, the silent brother, Casimir, just kind of clears his throat. I think what my brothers are trying to say is, you've done so well in cleaning up the city. We thought perhaps you could be of other assistance, not just to us, but to the other peoples of the world. The two brothers kind of eye Casimir. Something happened that first night those outsiders came. Unfortunately, they broke the mechanism, which I have labored hard to repair. It is nearly complete. It is a device of great power and of great age. Let's just say it has the ability to send persons from place to place that would otherwise take forever. The brothers kind of eye the group to see your reactions.
We've encountered such magics once before.
Caspian's chewing on his lip and thinking, God damn it, Makoto, can you not break everything?
Then you remembered Naz.
Petrovich kind of just has a slight arch to one of his eyebrows.
Okay. Casimir will speak up. I didn't hear a no.
Well, you haven't particularly told us what you'd like to ask of us.
Vanya, would you like to do the honors? Vanya kind of squirms in his seat just ever so slightly and looks at the group. I've heard word of a certain individual we, I think, are all in agreement, needs to be put down. A former member of the Tenyu. It is my understanding that he has fled either to Kabuto or to Dynast. We simply have the means to get you to one place or another.
Caspian's kind of got his fingers drumming on the table a bit, and then he'll stop and he'll just look at them and say, You know precisely what it is that we've been up to, Lord?
Piotr will speak up. There isn't much in the city that falls beneath our gaze. I won't lie. Yes, you have been persons of interest for quite some time now.
Then you would know that the shadows that at least my light seeks to banish are rather inconveniently located across great distances that would be hard for me to travel on my own 2 feet.
Indeed, as he kind of nods towards you. It seems the gods have, been fortunate to us.
He'll nod at them and just kind of give like the rest of the group a heavy look about that, like ding ding ding, ticket to Nagpavit.
Okay. How do you all react?
Petrovich doesn't really have much opinion on being able to travel around because he doesn't plan on doing it right now.
Vic will let out a long sigh and say, "Well, I hope you understand that I still have misgivings about you lot, but if our goals are aligned, I suppose we can work together for a time."
I will not be leaving this city, not so long as I have duties to my church.
Understood. He, Pyotr, kind of looks over at the woman here. Marquez, I implore you to assist Master Petrovich to the best of your abilities. It seems a restructuring is in order. If you're able to rebuild the clerisy under his purview, then perhaps we will still find a seat for you. She kind of scoffs. Yet, she does give a kind of seated bow. I shall do as you request, my lord. Is there any other business?
After she finished speaking, Caspian's just staring at the Marquess.
She, of course, has no qualms with just kind of staring back at you. Her deep kind of violet eyes just kind of gaze into yours.
He's not breaking eye contact as he continues. There were some things that I only dreamed about possibly being able to ask some of you one day about topics that are typically not shared amongst members that I don't consider my friends.
Go on.
Suffice it to say, I have been curious about something about you three, and it's not something that I wish to broach with current company.
You can see the smile on holy keyboard, Batman.
Oh, sorry.
That's
I forgot
okay. I thought Sable was in the chat for a second.
Right.
I forgot to turn my push to talk back on.
No, you're fine. It just took me off guard. You will see a smile creep across Vanya's lips. I was wondering when this subject would come up. Surely you have learned much in your studies. I'm curious, how much do you know?
I'm sure my dear friend here, Vic, will know a lot more about the metaphysics and all than I will, but I understand family matters, my dear, and that's what I'm interested in.
Pyotr kind of stares hard at you. You want us to talk about daddy issues?
If you can talk about daddy issues, I have an auntie who's in a bit of a predicament right now.
That, of course, kind of the way that you carry yourself and the way that you always speak about family, kind of, I always imagine has this like kind of, I don't know, preternatural kind of air about it. For the first time, Pyotr will kind of look at you almost puzzled. like, you know, kind of like he's slowly putting some pieces together in his head. Where do I begin about father? To claim the title of father, one would have to be present. Our upbringing was...
I didn't mean to do that.
That's okay. But that dex check was amazing. You avoid falling out of your seat from this long and boring story. Anyways,
You avoid paying attention to people's family drama.
Just the Deku tree snot bubble pops just.
I will try to put this in the most kindly way possible. Father, although he was physically there, he was never present, always talking about the past and future, and when the two collide, we spent most of our time with tutors, scholars, trainers. Mother, could barely say we had a mother. I'm not quite convinced we ever did. Regardless, when it comes to family, if father were to call upon us, all of his children, he looks left and right at his two brothers. That is a call that we cannot answer. And they all kind of nod in agreement.
So, given he wasn't the most doting of parents, and he'll kind of aside, like, oh, but believe me, I can relate. I take it you wouldn't be able to help us recreate his clever trick?
Are you talking about the Great Sealing? Not like sealing, like above you, like seal, like a wax seal.
At that, he'll look at Vic again, but he'll just nod and say, "It's something of that effect. It's at least that kind of magic we think they're using."
I presume you speak of the Nagpa and their dark secrets. He will turn over to his brother Casimir. I believe this is your area of expertise. Casimir, of course, nods. A thorn in our side. I believe many moons have passed since they first came to the city. First, a soul scout, and then I believe 2 others had joined them. But I think, thanks to your efforts, the numbers have quite diminished, yes?
Peace sign.
Right. Not really looking for affirmation, just kind of scanning the room, and as he kind of nods and carries on. I don't know how they found this knowledge. Father often keeps things well below the chest. The deepest parts of himself. Regardless, somehow I think they were able to reverse engineer this ancient spell he crafted. They're perverting it. It is unfortunate. One of the great artifacts our father has bestowed upon humanity have fallen. For not only does it bring about the first and most ancient of races, it also weakens his garden fortress. How do you guys react to that?
Garden Fortress, you say? I think I may have seen that.
It is a splendid sight. I don't know why I said splite. Remove that from the record. I can't word today. Anyway.
Cut. Take from the top.
Cut that out. Yeah. No. Put it on a VOD. Okay. Father has long tried to remove himself from the humanity that he has created. Actually, I think Hal dubbed the term humanoidity, which I thought was funny.
Nice.
But when I say humanity, I literally mean all the races. It's just a catch-all term. Anyways, he has sealed himself away from this world. I believe he has the power to create his own pocket dimension. I know this because I am a part of this. Father was kind enough to use us as partial catalysts in casting his spell. The only way to seek his counsel would be to break his spell and bring about his ire.
Caspian will look around and kind of blink a bit. Sorry, not the most accomplished mage, but if the Nagpa are able to drag Auntie out of her pocket dimension, couldn't the spell drag your papa out?
He looks at you like you are literally the dumbest motherfucker in the room. And I'll be honest, I hadn't really thought of that.
Need I remind you that in order for the Nagpa to accomplish their goals, they're going to sacrifice other deities?
I know they have a particular quarrel with one, the Queen of Ravens. One god, amongst many, is something I could live with. I think humanity would survive. But
if that spell were completed, if it existed and could be done, I mean, it's a matter of time before somebody tries it, wouldn't it be?
Piotr will look kind of across the room at you all, and he'll put his hands, like his gauntleted hands, down on the table, like flat-handed, and kind of push. I'll be honest, this is partially the reason why you were summoned here. Though we have eyes and ears in many of the other kingdoms, sometimes you get what you pay for. Information travels slow. And those that we have sent, although they are quite capable, are far less capable than you lot. In the near future, I would like to petition an envoy group to one of the sister kingdoms. Eyes and ears on the ground, as it were. A soldier can know no rest. If the Nagpa are up to the similar things that they are in the city, if there are no heroes to stand in those cities, you lot may be our last chance. It is a difficult burden to place upon one. We could, of course, order you, but we all know that would do no good.
So you really have been paying attention to us then?
Although we are quite reserved and far removed from the people, I like to think that we have their best interests in heart.
Caspian's all teeth as he says,
Hello?
yeah, as he says, as long as you guys aren't like some of your underlings and can stand a little bit of extra light in this godforsaken world.
One was taken from us too soon. The other could not have been vanquished fast enough. A calling of sorts is happening here. as it were, we do have a couple open positions. We have requested a few to fill their spot. A couple few, which I think you would agree with. To fill the open seat for the Mercantile Guild. Although word has not reached him yet, we hope good Master Kiev would fill this spot. If he ever gets done traipsing around the country, wrangling with great red dragons with Lady Zendra.
Yeah, shit, they do know everything.
Well, maybe they don't know about Razzle.
They might not.
And the silver dragon.
They didn't steal, but they didn't mention it.
Kiev has been a friend to us, and if Makoto's letters are to be believed, he's fairly sweet to them as well.
Yes, he has done a slight disservice for one, and a greater service for all. I believe that more than qualifies him. His knowledge of business and some of the seedier dealings would prove quite useful to the city as a whole. And lest us not forget about Lady Zendra. I think it's high time her family be restored and her put in her proper place.
Well, she certainly did enough of a service for...
It may prove difficult to have her take a back seat, but it is our wish for her to join the council.
We will all pray for their misadventure to wrap up before ere long, then.
If need be, in the meantime, an idea I've been toying with. If you need someone to fill Autumn's shoes, you know what I am. I can play the part.
They kind of glance over at each other. This could be agreeable, but though only on superficial terms, no binding contracts or proper decision-making. Is this agreeable?
It's fine enough. I only meant to manage the chaos at the time I came up with the plan, and most of that seems to have settled anyway.
Agreed. Our soldiers need a strong backbone. Autumn was this backbone. His presence has been missed. Many of the men are starting to question their place in file and rank. I believe a visit from their Primor could set things in motion until we can seal or kind of bandage off, apply a tourniquet to the wound that has been granted this council.
Certainly then, seeing him pass along his role to his successor would be a far more amenable situation to those who were loyal to him than simply being replaced upon his death.
We shall confer. I believe in the short term it to be a wise course, but eventually the cord must be severed. We shall endeavor to your wisdom in how to, in fulfilling, perhaps a compromise of sorts, like granules caught in a sieve. Eventually, water must be separated. But in short story, yeah, they will totally agree with your plan if you want to kind of pose and fill the shoes that you had been talking about for a while.
Yeah, basically, her plan is to just kind of ease the transition over
Yeah.
to.
It's a difficult thing losing a ruler.
And of course, her main thing is obviously not loyalty to the Tenyo, but loyalty to the city itself. So anything that can help stem the tide of chaos that has come from his death would be up her alley.
So after meeting the Tenyo, what are your guys' impression of them? I imagine you guys thought they were pretty bad, pretty evil there at the beginning. Has that changed any? They, at least their lip service, so to speak, is with the best interest of the city.
They're a lot less haughty than I was expecting.
Well, again, you guys did some pretty cool stuff, so to speak. You know what I mean? You guys are worthy of respect.
Caspian's intrigued. I, as a player, am a little torn because, like, on one hand, they seem to know everything, like what's going on, so they're in touch. But if they were in touch, why did they let such bad lieutenants walk around free? Does that make sense?
Yes, but did they find out this information after the bad lieutenants have been ousted? Obviously not all of it, but or I mean, I totally see where you're coming from. I absolutely do.
They're making.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine.
It just seems like they're making a point of saying, "Oh no, that was just our like underlings. It wasn't us. We don't want Order the Eye, Nagpa shit like that." But they kind of tacitly allowed it, despite apparently knowing what all we were doing about it.
Agreed. I mean, of that, they're absolutely complicit.
And I think Vic's in the same kind of opinion where she didn't really necessarily think they were evil ever, but her issue is that they seem completely disconnected from the plight of the everyman in the city.
All right. Did you have any more follow-up questions or anything that anything that you guys need help getting answers with that you want to ask?
So sorry, they didn't. I don't remember there really being an answer to the "Do they know anything about the ritual?" question.
Oh, so Maxim, he of course prattles on forever. So he does have an idea of how they're going about doing it. It is an old and deep magic. It is my understanding that they are trying to reverse what Father had started, to bring out their revenge against the Queen of Ravens, able to pull something from one realm into another. The answers that you seek lie with the Kami. How they have the power to subdue them, I do not. But if they're able to harness their energies, a great many things can be accomplished. It is impossible to measure the power of a god. But a creature that can control a god, that is truly a terror to behold. I, for one, would love to interrogate one of these Nagpa. Could we get our hands on one? There is one that might be able to better explain. Unfortunately, have you ever heard of the city outside of Tantabus? Refuge, they call it, far to the east.
I, the player, haven't heard of it.
There was once a great student. She was wise beyond her years. She is an elf, so she does have long ears. She unfortunately despised politics and hated the way the city was ran. She, along with many others, have fled the city to start a new life. If you want answers, I suggest seeking her out.
Will she also have knowledge on how to break the bindings that hold our lords?
If anyone has the foresight, I believe it her. I unfortunately have, though I have many, many years to study, my time is unfortunately split and devoted to other things. Seek this woman out. Go to Refuge. You will know her. I don't know what name she goes by now, but she used to go by the name Germald.
Are you certain she yet lives?
Long lives the elves do have. I imagine she's curled up somewhere in her studies.
Well, you said it will still be a short amount of time before this device of yours is repaired.
Yes, we're bringing in some outside assistance. The brothers kind of look over at each other. After much debating, it seems we need a proper tinkerer. For it was
Oh,
damaged.
good God.
Oh no.
Laughs DM.
If you break it, you fix it.
Right? They kind of did break it.
And here's where I attach the flamethrowers.
And this shoots out anvils.
And this is the ejection seat. Wait, what?
And these 12 buttons spread out throughout the entire machine are all self-destruct buttons.
That's right. Just make sure you press the primest of numbers. Oh, good times. Yeah, you have an inkling that he's the only oh shit, was it Archivist? No. Archivist? What's the name of the class? It's
Oh, the Artificer?
Artificer. There we go. I'm still so mad, and this is a shout out to Mike Merles for removing the subclass that was freaking bitchin'. Okay. I still love you, Jeremy Crawford. Anyways.
Why'd they have to destroy changelings?
But the answer is yes. They believe that she does still live. Though she left the city quite some time ago. Roughly about the time the turmoil started. About 50, 60 years ago.
given that we, and he's talking to his friends, but given that we can't exactly head out until it's fixed, what do you guys say for a shorter road trip?
That would be most agreeable.
Is this better? Is this better as far as like obvious things for you guys?
It's nice.
Right?
Our DM learned what breadcrumb quests are.
I know what they are. That's not the campaign I was running. Oh, silly boy.
Make the tokens bigger, Atherin.
I gotta make them. They're important. She's kind of important. Whee, spin to win. Have you any other questions, concerns, other grievances?
Vic's got plenty of grievances, but she's not going to air them here.
Fair enough.
I think that's, we've taken up more than enough of your time, my lords. I guess my parting thought would be the next time that you see your, party crashers, you take it as a personal favor to me that you don't fry them.
Worry not. Word was also sent to them.
Oh, I should have known. And, like, immediately he stops worrying.
Oh, Vic does have one thing to mention to them.
Sure.
Well, I'm sure if your scouts are capable of anything, you've probably already heard word of this, but we've heard some interesting rumors that dragons have been spotted in other parts of the world as well, which means that presumably other artifacts have been damaged at the very least.
Of the damage, I do not know. To be honest, we know not what the other artifacts are. Only this one we were gifted with in our city. Though, Casimir will speak up. I'm not entirely sure the causality of that is correct. I would think that the dragons were sealed away in a pocket dimension, sealed away with 3 seals. Even poking one of the seals would cause a small leak. Things would start pouring out. The more leaks, the faster the pour.
That's one way of looking at it, I suppose. I was thinking more in terms that the leak was specifically over Tantabus because this is where the artifact was damaged. So if more dragons are spotted elsewhere, that means there are holes elsewhere as well, no?
Interesting. I do not yet know the exact correlation, but all of the dragons... Kind of scratches his chin. To my understanding, have been in and around the city. I wonder where they were when the spell took effect. Something for more research, I imagine. Vic's like, I know something you don't.
She's keeping that shit close to her chest.
I know. All right. Anything else?
I do not think so.
Be careful traveling outside the city. You will find the flora and fauna are far worse than what miscreants we have in this city, though many of them have been put to rest. Need you a convoy of soldiers for your trip?
Well, mind you, we got our start as a traveling circus. We only took our route here fairly recently.
Vanya will speak up. This is true. If anybody can blend in and seem local, it's probably you lot. Soldiers would just slow you down.
Besides, I'm sure that, and he'll look at some of the Merkava in their room. No offense, you guys, but I'm sure they can't carry a tune to save their lives.
They kind of look at you. What?
Come on, guys, we're circus folk. If we're gonna travel, we have to sing.
You can see the Marquess just kind of roll her eyes.
I am staying here.
You'll just have to deal with the fact that you're gonna miss out on Phaley's falsetto, Petrovich.
Now.
No. All right. So the Marquess will, of course, work with you, Petrovich. What I would suggest is we'll start working on some downtime stuff for Petrovich. If you want to put together a list of things like you could have like a credo or something that you want to uphold within the clerisy, or things that you kind of want to enact. We can do that as like a downtime activity for Petrovich, and then we'll have a good kind of understanding of where the clerisy is headed.
Awesome. Yeah, I can do that. Also, it probably wouldn't be that hard to insert my new character because he is something of an entertainer. He enjoys gladiator fights and he knows how to play an instrument.
Okay. Where does he hail from?
I haven't really thought that out yet.
Okay.
So he could. He's an elf though, so wherever elves come from, I guess.
I mean, from their parents.
But yeah, he's kind of a wandering entertainer. He could easily end up with the circus.
If either that, or we can have them pick you up in a refuge.
Yeah, sounds good to me. Or a tavern or something.
Yep. Sounds good. Any last things? If not, we're gonna hit the road. All right.
The eyes have it.
Do I have a map? I do have a map. So let me zoom. Windows Snapshot is not working correctly. I give up. Anyways, in the Tantabus chat, there is a pin that has the world map. Obviously, Refuge is on the way to the east.
Is it like that mountain island cluster thing?
That is indeed where it is. I imagine that you guys will probably want to procure some horses. There are a few small kind of villages and stuff on the way, of course.
Nah, I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna get on a boat because there's nothing that could possibly go wrong with sailing right now.
I mean, you could totally try.
3 months later.
I mean, if you've got the dragons, man, there's a crazy captain out there that will sail for you. Let's do this. Let's take like a quick 10-minute break. Decide like if you guys want to travel via horseback, if you guys do indeed want to go sailing, and then we'll pick up there. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right, be right back.
I don't know about you, Drew, but I'm having fun with this.
It's pretty great, but I'm running out of shit that I remember about 7.
So who's ready for Christmas to be over?
We gotta figure out what the fuck I'm buying for Christmas first.
It's a non-factor for me.
I'm just getting stuff for my immediate family. Just still a lot of people now because both of my fucking siblings are getting married.
Oh.
After Black Friday, I was promised 1 truck a week with the potential to maybe add some, and we are definitely now just getting 2 trucks a week until Christmas.
Oh yeah, retail working at Christmas is the fucking worst. So I don't blame you for wanting it to be over. Luckily, I always worked in grocery stores, so it was just Thanksgiving that fucking sucked.
Used to work at an Albertsons. Didn't have the holidays there because it was just a very short stint at the end of my collegiate career, but was there for Memorial Day, and that was at a big barbecue weekend thing going on. So yeah, that also kind of sucked.
Yeah, summer pretty shitty. I remember where I lived was near a racetrack, so every summer when the races were going on, we'd get fucking huge crowds of people.
The only thing I can remember from the Memorial Day thing was because there were two Albertsons in the city, and ours was the smaller of the two, and there were more registers than we ever had people working, and managers were trying to get onto the registers that had no idea how to operate them, so they had to keep calling us over to tell them how to do shit.
Watching managers try to run fucking cash registers was the best thing. I used to be a cashier at my last job. Could have hated it more. I really liked the boss I had. Unfortunately, he got demoted for what I'm pretty sure was sexual harassment, but they never actually told. He was a fucking dumbass, but he was a great boss.
Can't say I've ever had anything like that happen around where I've worked, but I have had two managers that both got fired for doing the exact same thing, actually, at completely different times, tossing stuff out into the garbage to later collect it.
Ew. It's disgusting. I know one of the deli managers at one of my jobs got fired because she wasn't keeping track of her throwouts, and she threw out a lot of stuff. She got written up for it a couple times, and finally they're just like, you got to stop doing this, and we're firing you.
This is more tossing out jewelry and watches and shit.
Yeah, that's a little not okay.
Like, I'll just slip this into the garbage compactor, and then when I leave, I'll go back around behind the building and climb in through the top and take it out.
That sounds incredibly dangerous.
Also dumb. Security cameras, man.
I honestly don't know if we have external security cameras around that area of the store.
My last store didn't have any external security camera. And the only reason that was for is because apparently if somebody got in a car accident, we were liable for it if we had cameras out there, but we weren't if we didn't.
Yeah,
does
that
that
seems
work?
like that's how law should work.
I don't fucking know. It's just what they told me was the reason.
Oh no, someone's about to get in a crash. Quick, run outside and stop them.
Potentially liable, like they could sue us or something. I don't know.
Because there is there's so much that you can do from the security room of the building.
I don't know. I've seen people get sued for some pretty stupid shit nowadays.
Well, yeah, that's true.
If somebody breaks into your house in certain parts of the country and they injure themselves while robbing you, you're liable.
Nice.
So I gotta move to Texas and someplace like a defend the castle / stand your ground. Just shoot them. Fucking done.
I mean, at that point, you might as well shoot him, so you're at least going to prison for a reasonable.
I remember down here in Florida, there was a great situation. I mean, we've gotten in the news a couple of times for stand your ground bullshit, but one of my favorites had to have been a woman who was being harassed by her ex, who she already had a restraining order against. And he was approaching her house, and she fired a gun into the air to get him to leave the premises.
That's fucking stupid.
That was considered reckless use of a firearm because she fired into the air. But if she'd shot at him, it would have been stand your ground and she would have been fine.
Yeah. That's kind of fair though, because that is totally reckless use of firearm. Because if you shoot a bolt up in the air, it can go literally fucking anywhere. It can go through your neighbor's roof and kill their kid or something. Because there's this thing called physics, so what goes up comes down eventually. Or gravity, I'm sorry. I'm a little tired.
Yeah, I don't argue the reckless use of a firearm. It's just the stupidity that it would have been better to shoot a human being than to fire a warning shot.
You're in Florida. That's your issue right there.
It's true.
Hey, Florida man.
Myth.
We need bath salts.
I guess. We've only got meth here, so.
Good times. Is everybody back?
There's only
Not
one way to
quite
survive
yet.
the winters.
No problem.
That's myth.
I remember somebody talking about nuking Florida off the face of the earth, and my response to them was, I have 3 words for you. Nuclear Florida man.
Oh, God. Sounds
would
like
you
a
nuke
trauma
Florida?
film.
It's gonna destroy itself eventually, anyways. Just let Florida be Florida, and it'll work.
I guarantee you in 8 weeks there'll be a new trauma film called Nuclear Florida Man. Just listening to us.
Oh my god.
Maybe
I
after they
will-
make Sharknado 5.
I'm pretty sure they've already made Sharknado 5.
I wouldn't be surprised, honestly.
I have never watched those films, nor do
Yup. It's Sharknado 5 Global Swarming.
I have seen the Meg though. That's as close as I got.
The Meg was the first of like shitty sci-fi movies seeping into the mainstream.
It's worth
Now
it.
The
it's
only
just
one of those
full-blown.
I've seen was Snakes on a Plane.
I have not seen it.
I
Hi.
love shitty
Hello.
sci-fi movies. One of my favorites is Battle of LA. The shitty knockoff version of Battle Los Angeles.
Oh god.
Fucking fat general dude with a Desert Eagle shoots an alien spaceship out of the sky just for it to crash.
Awesome.
Greatest scene in cinema ever.
I will have to admit, after watching both seasons of Ancient Aliens, I'm a little disappointed that they ended it.
I fucking used to love Ancient Aliens.
It's a great show.
I think
The
they
fucking
realized.
campiest thing you can watch.
I think they realized. Oh, hey, this is the History Channel. Maybe we should.
As a history major, y'all disappoint me.
Oh, you don't study aliens?
I mean, the History Channel is just like TLC, but with slightly more learning to it.
Y'all crazy. Did we come to a consensus? Are we going horses? Or are you guys gonna try to hire a captain?
Horse.
Horses of courses.
I'm down for horses.
All right.
We need horses.
I mean, I'd be excited to fight a Kraken, but I don't want to lose Vic. I'm just transferring away for a little.
Also, here's the greatest piece of cinema history, Drew. It's in Off Topic.
Oh no.
Oh, pistol shrimps. Fun.
Oh no. All right. So, I think prices for horses and stuff is in the PHB. I'm not really concerned about the money at this point. We'll figure it out and we can do some subtraction or whatever. But when you guys are Daddy Warbucks or whatever, kind of hardly doesn't matter, right?
Pretty much.
All right. So everybody but Petrovich, which we'll introduce your new character here before too long, okay? You guys,
You're good.
your horses take off out of the city gates as you guys start moving towards the east. Now there are a few kind of dirt roads kind of coming to and fro in and around Tantabus, as there are a few kind of offshoot, more like hamlets than anything, on the outskirts. But most of life kind of just naturally gravitated towards the big city. You guys are gonna ride for some time. I imagine you guys all have provisions and that sort of thing. Kaladin's probably pretty good. Well, you're an urban ranger, but you should still be able to forage for food and that sort of thing in a pinch.
Yeah.
As you guys start to travel away from the city, a couple days out, and you're getting close to one of the hamlets there on the outskirts. You can see it just kind of in the distance. The trees are kind of pretty sparse in this area. It's kind of I don't want to say it's like rolling hills, because it's mostly flat here, just kind of grasslands. As you guys are moving about, let's do a group perception check. Petrovich, you can just roll a d20.
I'm here in spirit.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Fucking red.
Look at that, Rainbow. You rolled the same thing Caspian did.
Nice.
Double ones. That's okay. You guys still had some pretty decent rolls here. Kind of in unison, Vic, Volderin, and Kaladin. As you guys are moving down the road, you can see the hamlet kind of in the distance, but you see kind of this odd kind of shining bit of metal that's just slightly off the path. And as you guys kind of start, I assume you are going to investigate a little bit, because it's not incredibly far off the path. It's close enough that even if you were to stay the course, you could get up close enough to kind of observe. As you guys get within 50 feet or so of this, you see this odd shaped kind of metal pole kind of that's been wedged into the ground. It has 3 spikes on the end, and you see kind of some scatterings of cloth, a rusty sword, and kind of a large pool of reddish earth.
Well, I think it's fair to say a battle took place here.
Yes, but with whom?
You don't see any survivors or anything like that. Do you guys want to stop and investigate, or do you want to proceed on to the town? And you could always, of course, ask them if they know.
I'd like to take a look around. Is there like any broken armor pieces that might have any symbols?
Make me a perception check.
Okay.
Anybody who's wanting to look can certainly do so.
Nope.
So Volderin, regardless, you kind of investigate that immediate area. You can see from this odd kind of metal pole shoved into the ground, it is indeed a trident. It's got 3 points kind of shoved into the earth. You find nothing other than like a shin guard from somebody. You can see the straps look like they have been cut and they had fallen off. Let's see, Vic and Kaladin. As you guys kind of investigate, Vic, you're going to notice kind of the reddish spot that's there on the ground. Pretty obviously, it's kind of dried up blood. Quite a bit. Enough to kind of pool in a small size. Maybe roughly the shape of maybe the footprint of a basketball. Kaladin, as you're investigating around, you see some kind of tattered cloth hanging out of a side of one of the shrubs. It's barely noticeable as it's just kind of flapping there in this kind of gentle breeze.
Question.
Hmm?
Can I attempt to determine how long the blood has been there?
I'd let you roll medicine or nature.
I'll take medicine.
That is one impressive roll.
I get the blood splatter pattern too, so I know what weapon.
It's dry enough that it's not super messy, but there are some spots where it's a little thicker than others that the blood is still kind of palpable, that you can kind of stick your hand in it and still have some on your fingertip.
So
Not completely dried.
So it's not like something that happened like, just recently, but or not recently, it just happened like, minutes ago, but it did happen recently.
Correct. It hasn't been here for a long time, for sure. Probably within the day.
Well, Vic is going to, for once in her life, remember that she has magic items and is going to take hold of the trident and use her Mirror of the Past.
What does that do?
Drop it into the chat window for you.
Appreciated. Thank you. All right. It does... random and cryptic order, but is... Okay. The first thing that comes to mind is this kind of like a shriek of pain. This, not exactly what one would consider like a full-grown man, but not a boy either. It gets kind of impaled by this trident, and as you kind of gaze down the length of it, you're expecting to see like maybe a metal gauntlet or some sort of armor. Instead, you see like this kind of greenish blue, kind of slimy, scaled hand as it moves on and on. It is the body of a humanoid, but the features of a fish. You can see the fins kind of jutting out from one side as it's kind of standing there huffing and puffing, not out of its mouth. These slits in the side of its neck just kind of pulsate. And then the next thing that you remember, you see like this kind of swooshing, almost crescent moon shaped slash as it struck the back of somebody's leg, severing a piece of armor as it kind of piles off. And then you see and hear and feel the crunching of flesh and bone as more of these kind of slimy, scaly creatures kind of trot up, have a quick bit of meal around this kind of carcass, and they drag the remains away. Does Vic know what kind of creature that is?
Well, the player knows. I don't
Correct.
know that Vic probably would.
That's why I described it the way I did.
Yeah, she's spent literally all of her life in Tandibus, so I doubt she's seen most of the more monstrous races.
You're a bard, though. You may not have seen the race, but bards have a way of hearing tales from certain things. Let's do... give me your gather information. Let's see what's let's see what happens.
What would that be, like investigation?
Oh yeah.
Or...
Investigate. Sorry, I was thinking old Star Wars system for some reason. Sometimes things get jumbled around. You don't know exactly what they're called, but you know some of the old salty, crusty sailors had talked about being boarded from time to time in the sea, and they called them like merfolk, mermen. You never heard a proper term for them, so to speak, but that should be good.
I'll relay as much as I know and what I saw of the battle and the consumption of the corpse to my allies.
So you're telling me we're standing on a dinner plate?
Well, that certainly does seem to be the case. If I had to wager a guess, since I've never heard any stories of these creatures wandering out and about in land before. They mostly attack ships, but I imagine with that gargantuan beast out there in the waters, perhaps their hunting grounds have been made sparse.
We would probably do well then to make ourselves sparse as well.
Yes, perhaps make haste towards this refuge and hope that we don't find that they've suffered similar attacks.
All right. So with a somber note, you guys climb back up on your horses. You're not too far out from this hamlet, maybe a half hour, 45 minutes, as you kind of trot off. And you enter in this, again, it is very tiny. You can see maybe 10 houses of varying degrees. Most of them have been constructed with wood and then kind of thatched roofs and that sort of thing. Think of a kind of a poor kind of farming sort of village here. There are chickens roaming the streets. Oh no, why did I say that?
Oh boy.
Oh no. A couple doggos, some cats rolling around. You know, a couple fields that have been placed out. They're not ginormous fields. You imagine they probably self-sustain off the land here. There are a few people milling about. Do you guys just kind of roll into town, or how do you guys want to approach this?
I don't think we have any reason not to just roll up. I don't think we need to be stealthy about it.
All right. As you guys kind of trot through town, you'll get a few odd looks from some passerbyers. One, not quite venerable, but middle-aged sort of man. He's got the halo kind of ring and balding spot there at the top. He's in pretty good muscular physique, and probably the most noteworthy thing about him is this massive kind of Hulk Hogan styled mustache kind of rolling across his face. And he kind of looks up at you guys, and I don't get too many visitors around here. Something we can help you with?
Well, for starters, good sir, could you point us in the direction of where we might stable our horses?
Yeah, we got a tavern there down towards the end of the road. There should be a hitching post up there. Again, we don't get too many travelers around here. I think there's only one tied up right now.
Thank you for the information. Is there anything of particular note going on? We saw signs of a battle not too far from here.
Oh. You didn't happen to recover any bodies, did you?
Nay. The field was picked clean by the time we arrived.
That's unfortunate. Yeah, they usually just, they don't leave anything behind.
I take it you've been having fewer travelers than before.
Well, just the one. He seemed like he's one of them adventuring types, kind of like you all. We don't have a lot of money, but we have been looking for somebody to stop all this senseless killing and kidnapping. The one there in the tavern, he hasn't taken us up on our offer yet. I.e., that's Petrovich's new character. Take that.
Meeting a new character in a tavern? Come on.
Oh, so cliche. All right, hitting the delete button on the campaign. No, carry on.
Rocks fall, everyone dies.
We're in the middle of an open field.
Rocks still fall.
Landslide. 24D California happens.
Oh god.
Oh,
Stop.
the
I
ground
mean, nowadays that means fire more than it does landslide.
Like I said, we don't have a lot of money, but we'd be willing to pay. We don't even know where they came from. Never seen the lack of them. All scaly and fish-like.
Well, I imagine they've been dredged up by. Well, I don't suppose you'd probably have even heard word of this, but there's a demonic entity that has taken its home in the seas recently.
You see his eyes just widen, and he starts to almost shake.
Vic, dearest.
I can't say we've heard nothing like that. We're just a bunch of simple farmers.
Well, don't worry about it, dear. It's well deep into the waters and has no interest in coming onto land. But I do fear that it has perhaps provoked these creatures into staying closer to shore than they otherwise would.
Yes, nothing that makes its home in the water will find its way on land.
He just kind of looks at Vic.
Okay, DuPont.
Well, I mean, why don't you all go get yourself comfortable down at the tavern, and I'll see if I can round up the elder. I'll send him your way. He's a lot smarter than the rest of us. I'm sure he'll have something important to say.
Literally the first person you met, you gave him a panic attack.
Oh, by the way, I know your villagers are being killed, but there's this ancient demonic evil in the sea that's coming to kill you.
Oh, you don't need to worry about the fish people that are coming, kidnapping and killing all your
small fry.
fish monsters.
They're like the Walmart greeters.
Cthulhu's gonna come out of the sea and we're all gonna die.
How dare you be concerned about present danger? There's future danger that's much worse.
All right.
I wouldn't be scared of that if I knew the truth.
It was hilarious. So you guys move up to the hitching post and make your way inside. The smell just overwhelms you. Somebody has been cooking up some sort of spiced potatoes, and they just smell delicious. You can smell a little bit of kind of stew and maybe some mutton that's been grilling. But you're an elf, so I imagine you're mostly a vegetarian. She's kind of chopping up some greens. Petrovich, do you want to describe your character? We're going to put you just kind of at the tavern, seated for a meal. You're off doing your own thing. Of course, these people have issues. You just arrived in town not too long ago.
The roll there is for this. The party's going to hear some half-hearted strumming on a lute. It's not really very good. Obviously, he's practicing a song that he's never played before. They look over in the corner to see a rather standard-looking elf. His eyes kind of a lighter green. His hair's dark brown, and he's wearing a fairly. It looks like it was a coat that was once very nice and solidly made, but has since seen a lot of love. So it looks like it's had some better days, but it's definitely taken care of. He's pretty nondescript almost looking.
Would you say that he's androgynous?
He's an elf. What do you think?
Baldurn
How big
will,
his dick is.
Baldurn will walk up to the elf and ask,
By chance, would you be
Was it Germald? Is that how you pronounce that?
Yeah, Grimald.
Mid-chance, perchance are you Germald?
The random dwarf walks up to you in a hamlet. Are you Grimald?
No, I fear I'm not stranger. My name is Lucas.
Oh, my mistake then. We're looking for an elf. I guess that is the name Germald.
Lucas makes a bit of a sleeping motion with the lyre he has in his hand and says, well, you have found an elf. Unfortunately, it's not the right elf. Might I ask what you're doing in town? This seems like an out-of-the-way place for adventurers such as yourselves.
We're hoping to meet with this Germald and extract some information from her.
Politely?
Yes, politely.
I was about to say, that sounds rather unpleasant.
Yes, I phrased that inappropriately.
Perhaps the locals have told you of the troubles. They've been trying to recruit me to do it, but it sounds like a lot for just one person.
That I imagine.
Oh, it's amazing. Volderin, if you ever meet Germald, you just yell, prepare for extraction. I'm gonna lose my shit. I'm gonna lose my shit. A few moments go by. A fairly decent-looking woman kind of rolls out from around the counter, drops your order off. Did you say your name was Lucas?
Yes, Lucas.
Lucas drops your order off, and she's pretty soft-spoken. She's got kind of wavy, sort of kind of a dusty brown hair. Her clothes have definitely seen better days, but they're not super tattered or torn. And she turns to you all. Welcome to our humble village. If you'd like to have a seat, would you care for something to drink or to eat?
By any chance, is she an elf?
She is not. She's human.
Okay.
Yes, I'll take whatever that delicious smelling that you've got on the stove. Oh, and a flagon of ale, if you wouldn't mind.
Yes, of course. Anything else for the lot of you?
Yes, an actual proper meal would be nice. We've been traveling for several days now.
It's just no problem. I imagine you have the coin, so please have a seat, and I will be with you momentarily. If you need anything, my name is her name is Sandy, like Sandy with She goes back to the kitchen. I imagine you guys are gonna pull up a table next to this mysterious elf.
Sanjay.
Sounds good.
Oh, sheet. It's Sanjeet. All right. She, of course, brings out all of your food. She's just going to charge you guys a silver piece each for your meal and drink. And will you be needing room and board?
If all goes well, I don't think we intend to stay very long. Am I mistaken?
Oh.
What time of day is it?
We'll say it's approaching past midday at this point. She gets kind of like this almost sad look on her face. My apologies. I don't mean to interrupt your travels. If you need anything else, please do ask.
Well, I don't know about the rest of you, but I'd rather sleep in a warm bed than conduct our business and head back out immediately.
Lucas actually looks over at Valdrin and raises his flagon of ale at Valdrin and says in Dwarvish, good drinks and good health.
second. And Baldwin will raise his glass, and in Dwarvish he will say, "To new friends."
So, what has you lot moving on so fast?
Oh, matter of grave importance. I don't want to bore you with the details, but it is quite important that we find Grimaud and speak with her.
Well, I'm quite glad you're not here for me. I was half expecting somebody from the city to come and try and find me after what I said to that noble.
A wanted man, are you?
Only by a very particular person who happens to have the money to hunt me down.
Pursuant to us finding Grimaud, are you heading away from the city or toward?
I was hoping to head away, but if they've got cover of some sort, I wouldn't mind joining you closer to this.
Perhaps, maybe more direct. You wouldn't happen to have already seen what lies ahead on the road, heading towards shelter?
I'm afraid not. I came from the city and stopped here.
It was worth trying, and sounds like we're gonna have to cut our way through fish sticks to get there anyway.
Well, bit of adventuring, are you? I do enjoy a good fight or two.
About this time, the doors to the tavern swing open, and you can see kind of an elderly man. He's got that grayish sort of mop kind of donning his head. His clothes are a little bit nicer than the people that you've seen here, though not by much. He kind of has this little bit of jingle as he walks, as you can hear some of the metals kind of bouncing in one of his pockets as he comes over to the table. He's slightly kind of nervous, I guess would be the best way, yet he still kind of has a bit of air about him that has a bit of authority. Good day. I heard that you were speaking with Willem earlier, and perhaps we're in need of a bit of some work?
Well, I suppose we're not opposed to it if it's on our way. We do have important business to conduct, but I wouldn't want to leave you lot to be massacred either.
Well, that I appreciate. May I? And as he kind of points over to one of the empty seats.
Yes, please take a seat. Tell us what's been going on outside your city recently.
Oh, thank you. These old bones, they have some trouble. As he kind of hobbles over to the seat, you can see he removes one of the kind of small satchels from his belt, and a small clink as the pouch hits the table. I don't know where these damn devils came from. They're poachers. They've never attacked us directly, but it's become difficult. Some of the farmers have been attacked in their fields, and I'm sure you've heard the story about the boy. It's unfortunate times that we live in. Anyways, we're looking for somebody to hopefully put our minds at ease and drive these ruffians away from our lands. Kill them if you must, but as long as they go away, that would be good enough for us. We haven't a lot to pay, and unfortunately very little knowledge. But I imagine you guys are more than capable in that regard. We've been able to scramble together 60 gold dragons here. Hopefully that would be enough to cover your fee if you were able to drive these foul beasts from our lands.
At the 60 gold dragons, Caspian will clap a hand at the table and just like kind of shut him up for a second.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend.
How many villagers do you have?
Well, we've got 22.
Okay, let's see. I would pay each one of them, say 2 gold. Yeah, that's a good deal. Okay, keep your gold. I want to hear you all sing when I come back.
I'm sorry. I'm not too well versed in the Tantibinian ways. Is this what they would call a fast one?
No, I have plenty of gold. I mean, unless my companions want to cash their share in. I personally have been very bored by their lack of a travel song.
He simply wishes for jovial singing and such. If I might tack on an extra request, however, if you wouldn't happen to be able to assist us, maybe you have common knowledge, knowledge of a elf in the town of Refuge.
Well, we don't often make it out that far. This land is pretty much our entire lives, but an old elf, you say? I do remember a villager passing through, though it's been many years, singing, no, not singing, telling a story about the beauty of this woman that he had met. What did he say? Something about he would never compete with her lover. It didn't make a lot of sense to me. He said that in Refuge there's I know in Tantabis it's not really allowed, but I've heard stories through the ages that tests of skill and might, warrior versus warrior, were common practice. I believe they still do that over in Refuge. A grand sort of, what did they call it? A Colosseum, I believe. She fell in love with one of the champions there and made a home for themselves. That's about all that I know.
Indeed, Lucas will say, strumming on his lute or lyre a little bit. I've competed myself there a few times at the Colosseum. I'm a bit of a gladiator myself.
Oh.
It has been many years, though.
I did not expect that from one with such a... he kind of fumbles with the words. He just says noble frame.
Indeed, that is one way of putting it.
Then perhaps you know of this great warrior, huh? They say that he wields an axe with one hand that any other man would need two. And he's not of the gentler of races. Some say he is a minotaur.
Would that be an insight check on my part, or
Yeah,
history?
you can roll an insight.
Awesome. So 1d20 plus 4.
Can I jump in on that?
You may have heard stories of Refuge.
20 total is my check.
All right. Vic, you have vaguely heard of kind of those 1v1 sort of the kind of macho sort of contests outside of the city. Now it clicks with you. Oh, it must have been Refuge. Lucas, you remember, though he wasn't in the competitions, you do remember seeing a Minotaur around that area, and he did have this ginormous great axe strapped to his back. I mean, you would have thought that he was a Goliath, or maybe even a little bit larger than one of those of that race.
Indeed, I do remember seeing such a fellow. He was rather large, even for a Minotaur, though I don't believe I ever knew his.
You did not.
Then I will not amend that in any way.
Well, given that the fish people are in the way of where we intend to go, and now we have someone familiar with where we are going, we will definitely take care of your fish as best as we can, if you'll promise me a course.
We shall sing your praises morning, noon, and night. Oh, I just remembered. I don't know if it's of any significance, but we did find this at one of the unfortunate accidents. Farmer Harrington, he was able to wound one of the creatures, and I believe he dropped this. And he kind of hands over it's kind of an odd coral that's been kind of carved out, though it's cracked and it's hard to see. You think at one point it had some sort of humanoid shape, probably an idol that they were carrying. It's kind of a lightish pink sort of coral.
Would I be able to roll a knowledge arcana check on that?
It is not arcane.
Could I roll a religion check
Yes.
to see if I recognize?
It's going to take a very good, juicy roll.
All right.
Unfortunately, no. It's not. It's damaged to begin with, so it was difficult to determine. But it's of no origin that you know of. Probably, maybe it's one of their gods, or who knows.
All right.
Vic doesn't actually say this, but just for the sake of comedy, Vic will ask, this Farmer Harrington, is his first name Red by any chance?
How did you know this?
Okay, it's not just because I'm tired, right? Y'all are being a bit sillier than normal.
We are being a little bit silly.
Slight a bit.
Do we not like the little more silly?
Oh no, I'm a little drunk, sleepy, so I'm just checking.
No,
if
you're-
it's just me.
You're fine. I decided to roll into that. Yes, they call him Red, though that's not his given birth name. He was gifted with the fiery hair.
Ah, I see. I've heard tales of Red Harrington.
Harrington of the Fiery Cross.
He's probably the strongest man we have in the village. They say that he once went into the mighty forest and chopped down the tallest tree.
I've heard he's a master of misdirection.
Anyways, I can't thank you enough for not only myself, but for the good of all of our people here. If we can be of any assistance, please let us know. Sanjay, here, let me at least cover your meals and your room and board for this evening. He hands her one of the gold coins from the pouch. If you excuse me, I must get back to the burgomaster.
Don't forget your warm-ups.
The Burgermeister.
Oh my gosh. So, information that you guys know. They have always attacked individuals on the outskirts of town, and it seems like it's always when they have been alone. Doesn't seem like they go after the group kill.
So it sounds like we need bait.
Always fun to be the one to wait for such things.
Is it time for Faily bait again?
Well, we have two options. We can have the frail old man or the lost child.
Don't forget, I can always make myself look like a farmer.
That too. Either way, they're in for a rude awakening.
I just remember the last time Fairley did a distraction, like at the beginning of this campaign.
Yeah.
Why do I always have to be the bait?
Hey, Baldwin offered.
You see, your problem is like they try and bite you and they can't hit your AC.
So, Lucas, did you say your name was?
Correct.
Do you actually play that thing, or is it just for show?
Oh, the liar? Let me see if I can get a jaunty tune going.
Bing, 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 ding, ding,
Nice.
bing, 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 bang.
He breaks one of his strings and says, "Well, it seems today is not my lucky day. I shall hold off on playing till late in the evening."
Vic will reach into her pouch and fish out some spare strings that I'm sure she carries for her musical instruments.
Sure.
Much appreciated. Thank you.
Nice.
He gets to work on removing the old string and putting the new one in as he
It's a super
carefully starts tuning it.
It's a super thick one now. You can get all genty lyre tunes.
Jet liar.
All right. So what is the plan to draw these mermen? Which it is. I don't want to like underscore it, but it is incredibly odd that they're this far inland, considering the stories that you guys have been hearing or have heard, rather.
You said you encountered some of these mermen on your way into town.
Well, the remains of what they left behind.
Ooh, that must have been gruesome.
Not particularly, really. They didn't leave behind much.
There's small armor straps and a little bit of blood.
Well, I guess you can't accuse them of being wasteful.
That's amazing.
Well, old farmer dwarf, do you wish to go get your hands dirty?
Very well. Let us see if we can't catch ourselves a fish tonight.
I'll get the disguise kit out.
You gonna disguise him to be older?
Not older, just more farmery.
Farmery. Nice. All right.
Oh,
Get
I
a
do
nice straw hat, things like that, you know?
Is the one guy who accosted us, is he still there?
Who accosted you?
The one who wanted us to kill the fish.
Well, the whole town does. You talking about the village elder, or are you talking about Willem?
Yeah, the elder.
Even if he wasn't, he's easily found. He was on his way out, but
Okay.
he's like, yes.
If you wouldn't mind, if you have a spare cane that I could borrow, make things simpler on our end to find these fish.
Yes. If you will come, if you don't mind, I shall. We can head back to my house, and fetch one.
All right, then. Lead the way.
Who kind of escort you around the town. His house is not the largest structure in town, but it's on the upper end. He's there. You'll meet his wife. She's just sitting in a rocking chair petting a cat.
Same.
Some sort of stew is over the fire, and you can smell like some herbs and incense that have been placed throughout the house. It's a pretty pleasant smell to walk into. He, of course, will fetch his cane. He will appreciate you coming with him, as that way he didn't have to make a trip back. He's old, and it's difficult on him. Every day it just gets a little tougher.
Thank you. I will be sure to return this as soon as we finish odds and ends.
Are we all there, or is it just
I just imagined it was Volderin, but
Yeah, all right.
while you guys were back at the establishment working on the plan, getting things together, A-team style.
Eldurin will return and he'll go up to Vic and say,
I found some clothes for me to play this part.
So you done?
That'll certainly help. I don't suppose I'll need to coach you on how to walk with a limp, will I?
Shot fired.
I'll do my best. But
Do you have a disguise kit that you can roll?
Yes.
Awesome.
Not my best.
No, but I mean, it's pretty good. As you kind of have the outfits, the canes and stuff. You're gonna place him out in one of the fields somewhere. It's just be like, I'm bait.
I'm old, very old.
I'm so old.
Well, if we do, it should either be quickly or tomorrow. I don't think they would necessarily trust it if they had a bait set out in the middle of the night.
Fair enough.
Perhaps a farmer trying to drive the last of his livestock in before the sun sets?
Not gonna lie, now part of me wishes I had taken seeming so we could replicate the critical role situation of turning us all into cows.
Lols. Moo. They don't have much in the way of cows, but that would have been pretty awesome. So you guys are going to set up, and I'm going to do some rolls here. And I'm going to be honest, I'm probably going to call it here. I'm starting to get really ugh.
All good.
So we're gonna set up the scene a little bit. So did we decide morning or dusk?
Let's see. What time did we arrive? When we stumbled upon the scene, what time was it?
I think it was just shortly after midday.
Okay.
Couple hours talking and that sort of thing. I mean, you would have had plenty of time to prep before dusk, so to speak.
Well, I was just saying, since our only encounter that we've seen happened probably during the morning then, since the blood had been there for a little bit.
Yeah, that's the only one that you definitively know, yes. You would assume morning.
Probably morning then would be our best shot.
Okay. So
For our
Volderin,
hunting breakfast.
you're out in the middle of the field. The rest of you are kind of hiding in various spots. For the rest of the group, give me a group stealth check. Volderin, you're immune to this roll because obviously you're not.
Yeah, I'm doing the opposite of stealthing.
Just for
You can
shits
give
and
me a
giggles.
performance roll.
All right.
Yeah, just for shits and giggles, Vic is going to polymorph herself into a sheep or a chicken or whatever it is that they seem to have.
Oh, okay.
Awesome.
Does that could you pass without trace too?
That adds 10?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll add 10 to all these scores.
Why am I even here just to roll ones? I shouldn't even be here.
Oh.
My performance as a chicken.
Deserve an Emmy.
This is a excuse me a question to the role players here. Have you ever been in a group or DM'd for a group where one person consistently has just terrible rolls?
Yes.
I've been that player.
That's me on my Tuesday campaign.
Like consistently, like every day, like every
10 sessions of Tower, I missed about 90% of my attacks.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I have somebody in my real life group. His rolls are just so terrible. Like, he never gets to do practically anything. And I've considered doing the 1 through 20 trick, where you hand them that sheet of paper, and then they have to pick the rolls and cross them off. And then once they go through all of them, then they can refresh that sheet. That way, to get some of those, like, man, there's most times he can't even roll above a 5. And it's like consistent. I've been playing with him for years. It's like, dude, you are cursed.
Tell him to get some weighted dice.
Just, no, a 20. Oh, a 20. Oh, a 20. Wait a minute. These are all 20s. Yeah, I know. I rolled them all. No, all the sides. They're 20.
It's a 20-sided die.
So morning creeps upon you guys as the rooster's starting to kind of I don't even know what the term is for it, where he's kind of doing his rooster crow in the morning. The sun is starting to come up, and you hear kind of the creeping moving through some of the wheat in the field. As Volderin, you're doing your best to kind of, I'm a farmer, right? Just tending to your field, with your warhammer.
Just slapping the ground with it.
Yeah, that's flat. That's good. That's good land right there.
He's rock breaking.
Some of these creatures, I'm just gonna call them Sahagin now, as they start to creep up and out of this kind of weeded field. You see 3 or 4 start to creep kind of along the way, and next week when we start, we'll probably start with combat, and we'll throw out a map, and that's it for tonight. I don't feel good.